The Red Sea served up stunning conditions again last Tuesday in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, with blue skies, sunshine and a solid 14 to 17 knots of north to northwest airflow, the predominant wind direction in the region at this time of the year. Crucially, the sea state was bumpy with localized waves at up to 1.2 meters, and an underlying swell off the Jedda Corniche that produced 1.2 to 1.4 meter rolling swells. Due to a forecast at the top end of the 2024 America's Cup racing range, 4 of the 6 teams elected to stay ashore for the second day of systems checking for the race management team. Emirates Team New Zealand, the defenders of the America's Cup, and Ineos Britannia, the challenger of record, were the only 2 teams to venture out of the Jeddah Yacht Club Marina. The Red Sea, billed as a soft air, flat water venue, did not live up to the brochure, turning on a 14 to 17 knot northwest breeze and 1.2 to 1.4 meter sea state. Unfortunately for Ineos Britannia, a technical issue with a stuck flap meant that they hove to the middle of the racecourse attempting to fix the issue. After approximately half an hour, Rob Andrews, the team's coach, informed race control that they could not make a lasting fix on the water, and so returned to base. Meanwhile, Emirates Team New Zealand accepted the countdown sequence, and was the sole starter, in a scheduled 2-lap race in a building swell, and breeze right, at the top end for the AC40s. The New Zealand flight controllers dialed in a low flight, with wide cant angles to keep the boat close enough to the water for speed, but high enough to ride the swells. With the seas building, Emirates Team New Zealand made an onboard decision to curtail the second beat halfway up, bore away with 2 boards down, jibed and headed back towards race control. Immediately after jibing, the Kiwis got caught on a swell and hobby-horsed into a full splashdown. The session ended at that juncture with the chase boat moving in to tow the AC40 home. Speaking after the session, Nathan Outridge summed up the day. "It was top end on the sea state for sure. There were moments when you had to back off a bit and try and manage the boat, and other moments when you found a few flat pieces of water and could really push it hard, but as anyone knows who watches these boats, you can't really throttle back too much downwind. It's still full noise. It's just really working on your positioning on the maneuvers and trying to get through those jibes. Anything where you're on 2 boards is always tricky on these boats, because the autopilot is bouncing around. It was a good session for us. We got out and did what we wanted to do, got back, and now we are starting to prep for probably lighter, flatter conditions. More benign conditions of approximately 8 to 12 knots are expected on Wednesday for the official practice races of the second of the preliminary events, which are part of the 2024 America's Cup, but don't count for points in that event. This is your weekly global sailing highlights show, The World on Water, for December 1st, 2023. Leaders, favourites and defending champions, Nico Poons Charisma got off to a solid start on the opening day of the 44 Cup Calero Marinas, the final event of the 2023 44 Cup. The Dutchman's Monaco-flagged RC44 leads after 3 races, but by a mere point from Team Nika, with Aleph Racing a further 2 behind in third.
The last event of the 44 Cup finds the RC44s in the warm and familiar venue of Lanzarote in the Canary Islands, where they are being hosted by Calero Marinas. With the overall 2023 44 Cup set to be decided here, the competition is certain to be fierce. After a general recall, the first race starts and is followed by a major left-hand wind shift. Everyone tacks, aiming for the right side of the course, where the wind is both lifted and stronger. The course change for the second upwind initially helps to straighten the racecourse up, but on the final downwind, leader Aleph Racing falls into a wind hole, allowing those behind to catch up and overtake her. Finally, it is Team Nika that claims the bullet in front of Peninsula Racing and Charisma.
On the last run of the first race, it turned inside out at one point halfway down, and boats from the back were coming in, and it's just, I mean, there was definitely a little bit of luck in that first race for us to get the win, but it's just trying to be in the right places at the right time and hopefully get a little bit of luck.
In race 2, the second windward mark rounding has Aleph Racing once again leading, followed by Charisma with a cushion over Team Nika and the rest of the fleet struggling behind them. These positions hold until the finish. Impressively, 44 Cup newcomers, Team 69 on the class's trial boat, managed to finish 5th, just astern of Team Aqua. Team 69 is skippered by average French sailor Laurent Deage, with Sebastien Cole calling tactics. In today's last race, the left seems to pay, as the consistent trio of Charisma, Nika and Aleph round the top mark, leading the fleet. Aleph sneaks into second place on the last run and ends the day in 3rd overall. Team Nika is 2 points ahead in second, with Charisma leading after the opening day by 1 point.
The wind was off the land, 30-40 degree shifts, no wind, and then 10-12 knots, so it was real eyes out and trying to find the wind and get the shifts right. But yeah, we did a good job of that today. We had a few little issues, but yeah, no, we're in the mix and happy with how we're sailing.
See you tomorrow for more tricky and ultra-close racing.
We are Sailing Only Media. Please subscribe, share, like, and check the alerts bell. Time is everything in the America's Cup, the clock never stops. So thanks to GAC Pindar for delivering the Ineos Britannia AC40 race boat, Athena, on time, to Jeddah. This is how the boats are delivered round the world by GAC Pindar. Once at the venue, here is the race format for the regatta in Jeddah on the Red Sea.
The America's Cup relies heavily on the logistics aspect of a team coming together and delivering parts all around the world on time, just to get the sort of manufacturing piece under control, not to mention boats, people, containers, it's a huge puzzle. The America's Cup is a very tight program. We've got 3 years from start to finish and everything comes down to the day, so having something arrive when you expect it to is really important. It's more than a one-man band game now, so we've got our partner with GAC. A critical part of that relationship is having their experience and their knowledge and their support. They have 2 or 3 people supporting us a lot of the time, and then we have people inside the team, both here on site in Spain and in the UK, that tie up each end, so it's a real team effort, just a logistics piece. At the end of the day, we're a sailing team and we want to be on the water as much as we can. So having things on a ship is really inefficient for us. So there's a lot of planning that goes into the time you don't have your kit and what you can do in that time. We've got guys within the team working with GAC to make sure that we have this, the shortest shipping route possible. But yeah, it's critical that we get the gear there on time and we have enough setup time there in Jeddah to make sure that we can, get straight into a good sailing session. We sailed right up until the last point that we could, and then it took us sort of 3 days to strip the boat down, load it onto the flat racks, trucks come and collect everything and took it to a port. Spends a bit of time in port getting clearances so that at the other end in Saudi Arabia things are as smooth as they can be. A 7 or 8 day shipping time to Saudi Arabia, and then we'll unload in Saudi Arabia, and we're about 70 kilometres outside of Jeddah, and then they'll get trucked into the port down there. And then over about 3 or 4 days, the containers are opened up, set up into a little small mini base that we have operating there, and the guys will reassemble the boat and get it ready for the event.
So here in Jeddah, the race format is up to 8 fleet races, and then the top 2 boats at the end of those 8 fleet races have a one race, winner takes all, to win the regatta in a match race. The fleet racing particularly does offer some different challenges, certainly compared to the match racing that we're used to in the America's Cup. At Villanova, one of the biggest things that I think all the teams would have noticed is just as soon as you put more than two boats on a racetrack, the amount of gas and dirty air off the back of these boats is pretty massive. So really, if you're able to get away off the start line, pick the first shift, stick a few good manoeuvres in and get out in front, it's generally pretty hard for boats to get past. In the fleet racing in these AC40s, you can start on port or starboard. There's obviously no limit there. And traditionally in sailing, boats tend to start on starboard tack, but port tack starts in this class are certainly a viable and sometimes good option. It really just depends where the favoured side of the course is, where the bias is, how the traffic in the fleet's lining up. There's certainly no right or wrong when it comes to starting port or starboard, that's for sure. The teams that make that final have to have a pretty quick shift in mentality. It turns it from really looking after yourself to just having that one-on-one fighting element brought back in that naturally comes with match racing. Obviously the starting format and the way that we line up and the pre-start manoeuvres that we do are completely different. Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to be one of those two boats.
They say in yacht racing that when conditions are light, fluky and difficult to predict, it is all about keeping a cool head and avoiding the big results. Italian sailors are renowned for excelling in this, as they are the prevailing conditions around the Italian coastline. So it was little surprise that in the 5 to 10 knot northerly that was blowing over mountainous Lanzarote, 2 out of 3 of today's winning boats at the 44 Cup Calero Marinas had Italian tacticians.
Light, unstable offshore breeze blowing across Lanzarote greeted the sailors on day 2 of the 44 Cup Calero Marinas. This followed a 1-hour postponement ashore. The first race gets underway in a light northerly, with Team Nika and Aleph Racing maintaining their form from yesterday, leading into the top mark. Team Aqua, with British double Olympic gold medalist Hannah Mills calling tactics, rounds in third. Aleph and Nika managed to keep their positions to the finish, while the order of the rest of the fleet is continually reshuffled during the ultra-shifty last moments of the race.
So I've joined Team Aqua for this event. The team are so welcoming and just embraced me coming on as tactician, which was cool. And it's just been a massive learning curve. The upwinds are definitely quite different. Just the angles and everything is a good challenge, but the racing's been amazing. It's so close.
After a delay waiting for the wind to settle, the second race is on. CREF plays the middle to lead around the top mark ahead of Peninsula Racing and Charisma. Of this trio, Peninsula is the first to jibe onto port and, crossing in front of the fleet, gets into the best position to lead into the leeward gate. Despite heavy contention up the next beat, the Gibraltar team hangs on to win this race, with Aqua second and Nika third.
Very, very tricky conditions today. A lot of crazy shifts, but it was fun. I think we sailed pretty well. I think the race that we won, we sailed solid. We were patient, and generally the boat's got good speed.
In the last race of the day, CREF plays the shift's best on the first beat. In particular, she takes the lead after holding on starboard tack as the others are breaking away onto port. Rounding the top mark with a good cushion, she holds this all the way to the finish, arriving ahead of Aleph, which puts in the best performance today, with Charisma in third.
Super shifty, tricky conditions. We sailed consistent today, so I think that was the most important thing to do today. So now happy to be part of this team and super happy with the result today.
At this halfway stage of the 44 Cup Calero Marinas, Aleph is leading, 3 points clear of Team Nika, in turn 2 points ahead of the 2023 44 Cup leader, Charisma. While it might seem that Nico Poons has his second consecutive 44 Cup title secured, the truth is that anything can happen in the next 2 days. Stay tuned.
The fourth day of the FAREAST 28, a European Sailing Championship in Limassol presented challenging weather conditions right from the start. In the morning, it became apparent that there wouldn't be sufficient wind for racing. Following a brief adjournment, a window of opportunity emerged, and a 4 to 6 knot sailing session took place. During this time, the wind intensity increased, adding an extra layer of complexity to the competition. At the only completed race, Sergej Kostovich's Bravo finished first, followed by Pa Svardsen's Happy Yachting, with Jonas Svensson on Drake taking the third position.
Everything is going very good. The team is working hard, doing all the best, dealing with all the problems. And we had some technical issues on the previous races, but we deal with them during the race easily, so everything is quite good right now. The team is, they're professionals, they're good guys, and they are doing the best to win the race.
The 44 Cup Calero Marinas, the final event of the 2023 44 Cup, has become a two-horse race going into the final day. Once again today the star performers among the high-performance owner-driver 1 designs were Aleph Racing and Team Nika, both winning races, and, crucially, the only teams to avoid posting any big results. They currently are on 25 and 29 points, respectively, with the 2023 44 Cup's overall leader Nico Poons Charisma third on 35.
It's day 3 of the 44 Cup Calero Marinas off Lanzarote, and the first race is underway in an east-northeasterly breeze blowing along the coast. Up the first beat, the left side pays for Searef and Peninsula, but coming in from the right, Team Nika sneaks between them at the top mark. Nika and Searef are tied at the leeward gate, with Searef going left and Nika going right again. Ultimately, Nika wins this first race of the day, followed by Searef and then Peninsula third. Overall for the event, this leaves Nika and Aleph tied at the top. Race 2 gets abandoned when there's a huge left shift soon after the start. The course is reset back into the northerly direction of the first 2 days. After a general recall, the left side pays, with Aleph and Chris Bake's Team Aqua leading around the top mark. Aleph maintains the lead to the finish, with Aqua unable to close, as Torben Tornquist's Artemis Racing comes home in third. The wind picks up initially for today's last race, and the weather mark rounding is as busy as it gets. Aqua and Searef clear at first, while Charisma manages to close by the leeward gate. Finally, Searef noses into the lead, leaving Charisma to claim second and Aqua third.
Incredibly tricky racetrack. So the first race we sailed in a more easterly breeze coming down the coast, and we were second on the finish line, really close with us and Nika. Middle race, we started one which got abandoned because we had a huge wind shift that we were doing well in, and then we had a middle race that wasn't so good. And last race, sailing really close to the marina, we got another win, which is good. Race course here is really tricky. The wind's shifting around probably 30-40 degrees, quite gusty, probably as light as 8 knots, and as breezy as 15-16 knots. So plenty going on. Lots of good sailors, lots of people who've sailed and can read the conditions, so it's a great fight.
Going into the final day of this event, Aleph Racing leads the fleet by 4 points over Nika, in turn 6 points ahead of overall 44 Cup leaders Charisma, and potentially there's up to 27 points on the table still.
We've just been keeping a bit of an eye on the overall season. That's probably our main goal at this one. And we're reasonably happy. We're still in the hunt for the podium, and tomorrow is going to be another battle, and we'll just see what happens tomorrow. If we sail well, we could still win the regatta. If we sail badly, then we could be at the back of the fleet as well. It's that close.
We go into the last day tomorrow. We know we've got to keep working away, and Charisma are 10 points in front of us. That's possible. Peninsula are just in front of us. That's possible. We're tied with Aqua. So every point, every mark rounding, every boat we can get past, and all of tomorrow's races, that's all we've got to do.
See you tomorrow for the final day of racing.
The 37th America's Cup Preliminary Regatta, presented by NIM, is about to start. Who will win the last AC40 face-off? The first AC40 America's Cup Regatta, which was in Spain, was won by the New York Yacht Club. It's a very busy time now in the Red Sea, so can they repeat their win and go 2 up? After Jeddah, the next time all the teams meet will be in the big AC75 boats, which require full assets and crew.
The stage, Jeddah, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The oldest and greatest obsession in sport has come to the Red Sea. It's fight and flight in the AC40 racing yachts.
These are the best of the best sailors in the world out there racing in one design AC40s, identical boats.
This is the second America's Cup Preliminary Regatta. Round 1, Spain. The underdogs became the top dogs on opening day.
Oh, that's a pretty aggressive moves. The French are pretty handy and pretty slippery in the light airs.
We are pretty happy about the straight lines, about the start, so we are ready to race, yeah.
Never ever underestimate an underdog.
Then, the Kiwi defenders made their move.
Emirates Team New Zealand are charging and they'll mow them down super quickly here.
They are steaming into that top mark.
Yeah, we're obviously really comfortable on the light air.
Job done, maximum points for Emirates Team New Zealand.
We're actually pretty comfortable in the breeze as well.
But it was the Americans who gave a masterclass on the Mediterranean.
The boats are absolutely ripping downwind. They really are. They're just like they're on rails.
I do think these events count.
American Magic get the win in race number 4. American Magic come home and they make it 2 from 2. They go back to back.
The boats end up similar in speed. We now know that we've got a sailing team that can beat your sailing team. And to me, that's huge.
Can they go 2 for 2? This is one last look at the AC40 competition before the big show in Barcelona, Spain next year. So get ready for 3 days of red-hot racing on the Red Sea.